Alright, so this is going to be a quick review of the LEQ rubric. And it's worth 6 points versus the DBQ, which is worth 7. LEQ stands for Long Essay Question. This is essentially a more standard essay that you're probably used to writing with just with the rubric. So it should be a little bit easier for you. Sometimes the documents make it more difficult, even though there are clues about what to write about and what direction to go as far as answering the question. In some ways, some students do better because it's a little bit more freeing and you're not constrained by the documents. However, that means you really do have to have your outside information put together. There are also a lot less moving parts. There's no cap here. So let's just get right to it. Number one is the thesis claim, the 1 point. And this is fairly straightforward. It's the exact same as the DBQ. When you've been writing these thesis practice paragraphs, this is pretty much the same thing. You've just got to remember, answer the question with a thesis claim, and it's got to have sort of a line of reasoning to follow it. Okay. This point also cannot restate or rephrase the prompt. So don't spend your time on the T's and the classic restating of the question. It's got to consist of its own paragraph. I would encourage the introduction. That's really where you want it to go. All right, so that's the same as the DBQ, nothing new there. All right, so that's 1 point. Contextualization is a second point. That is the same also as the DBQ, and you're describing the broader historical context. This is going to be either set the stage or it's going to be a conclusion. So I recommend second paragraph to set the stage, or the last paragraph as your conclusion. And we've been working on this with the DBQ as well. In the DBQ, it's the 8th paragraph because we've pretty much standardized the number of paragraphs based on the number of documents you have to use. Whereas here, there's a little bit more give in how many paragraphs your response should be. It may be easiest to just set the stage, get it in, get it done, and get that 1 point. If you feel like you're pressed on time and you wait for it at the end and you don't get to it, or it's not that good, then you could be missing an easy point there. So just if you have a tough time with time management, put it on to set the stage. The decision rules, again, this has got to be something that occurs before, during, or after the time frame of the question. So that allows the second or last paragraph. And it has to be its own paragraph, not a phrase or a reference. So you won't get the point for that. So that's its own paragraph. Bam. Okay, next point is C and D. They both have 1 or 2 points. This is really the main body paragraphs that you've got to have. Of course, we're shooting for 2 points over here. And let's look at the differences. 1 point just gives you a specific examples of relevant topic to the prompt, and 2 points supports the argument. And notice that it's in bold, supports the argument, using, again, the same thing, specific and relevant examples. So what are specific and relevant examples? AKA outside information or your IDs. So you have to give specific examples. The more points. Okay, again, looking at the decision rules, it must identify specific historical examples. 2 points gets you a link to the argument. So really, they just don't want to see you throwing out random stuff trying to get the point. It's got to go back to the thesis, and you should begin to introduce at least some of this outside information even in that earlier thesis paragraph. D, same thing, 1 or 2 points. We're shooting for 2 points, obviously. This is your inferences, your analysis. Remember, our equation is the OI from C plus your inferences equals analysis. So if you're using sort of your theme or your skills, which are some examples here, comparison of one or two or more things, the causation of those things, then that's good enough. However, if you really want to demonstrate mastery, it's more of a complex understanding, and it's also going to collaborate, qualify, or modify to the argument. So same thing, this stuff is going to go back to the thesis. So that's why the first paragraph is really, really important. And it may be worth, before you start writing, to take a couple of minutes and do a little outline and think about how your main body paragraph is going to go into the thesis, and you can start to introduce some of that OI in that first paragraph. So what are some examples of analysis? Again, multiple variables. So if you're sort of showing multiple sides of things, that would be sort of showing a more complex nuance it's asking there for. Similarity and difference, and using some of these themes like of continuity versus change or multiple causes, explaining causes and effects. So examples would be, for instance, growing sectionalism and secession. It's not just Lincoln's election, but it's a little bit more nuanced, and say it's a little bit of this in literature with Uncle Tom's Cabin, it's a little bit of this politically with Compromise of 1850, it's a little bit of this economically with the reliance on cotton and exports, and you bring in outside information with each of those things. Harriet Beecher Stowe, 50% plus on cotton exports, tariffs, that relationship, and whatever. So that's how you're linking that stuff. Explaining relevant and insightful connections across periods. So this one is your example of L3. Okay, so maybe this response is similar to the Crimean War or Hawaiian annexation or the Jeffersons and Hamiltonians or whatever. Another one, confirming the validity of an argument by corroborating multiple perspectives across themes. Again, you're going to have to reference your themes chart, whether it's American identity or people in place, and anytime you bring in another theme there. And qualifying or modifying the argument, considering alternative views or evidence. This one, you might contradict your thesis like we do with some documents. And again, I would save something like that if you're going to qualify or contradict the thesis, that it goes at the end as part of your conclusion. And that's just so that there's no confusion. You want to support your thesis straight up, and then at the end you could qualify it. And that's not necessarily, but that's sort of advanced analysis that would put you closer to the 2-point scales. So those are some of the things you want to be shooting for. So I have a sort of a sample question here real quick. If you're feeling good and you want to stop at the video, I know we're close to about 10 minutes, then that's fine. We'll just go another couple of minutes demoing the question in red that I've written out here and talk a little bit more about how long it should be. So in red, how was the South impacted economically, politically, and socially by radical or congressional Reconstruction between 1865 and 1877. That's all you're going to get. Now, on the exam in May, you'll actually have a choice between long essay questions. One will be from a certain period. It could be before Civil War and after Civil War, or not. I'm not sure what they're doing this year. But anyways, so one, you're going to have your thesis paragraph where you're going to address all parts of the question. It's going to be its own paragraph, not a simple phrase, or you're not restating the question. I would just begin with something like this. Radical Reconstruction was driven economically through blank, right? Politically through blank, and socially through blank. And those blanks, okay, whether it's going to be Freedmen's Bureau and the education of free blacks, additional amendments, 13, 14, 15, or any other outside information you want to plug in there, are answers. Remember, answer the question. Don't tease it out. Make sure you stay within the period dates. The contextualization, if we're setting the stage, maybe you're talking about the end of the war, Lincoln's assassination, Johnson vetoes, you're discussing impeachment and the conflict between Tennessee, sort of national Republican / Democrat, Johnson versus Congress, and how they're going to battle that out. That would set the stage. If you were going to do a conclusion, then maybe you would be something sort of post 1877, the role of Jim Crow, maybe how some of these policies were undone by literacy tests, poll taxes, grandfather clauses, the Redeemers, any sort of examples post. That would be your last paragraph. The big question everyone wants to know is how long does it have to be? Look, the longer, the better. If you have to do these 2 points in green, you're going to have a lot of outside information, and you're going to have a lot of analysis. I think A is 1 paragraph, B is 1 paragraph, and then C and D go together. Now, if you're looking at this example question, it's sort of in 3 parts. So I imagine you're going to have a 3rd paragraph, a 4th paragraph, and a 5th paragraph that address each one of those things. So that may sort of depend on the question. Maybe if you're going to qualify or modify at the end, that would be a 6th paragraph or a 5th in another one. The more paragraphs, the better, because you're showing more complexities and you be able to talk more about it. Now, you have about, I'm going to go up to the top here, 35 minutes to write this thing. Okay, so if, let's just say you take 7 minutes per paragraph. So that's going to be 5 paragraphs. Okay, so that I would say is the standard. Really wouldn't get probably less than that, to be honest with you. You really need the full time. Your DBQ, which is 45 minutes of writing, you're trying to do 8 paragraphs, so you're in there in about 5 minutes a paragraph. So this, you should have a little bit more time. Okay, so you're shooting for 6 points, and good luck.